Ever feel like negotiations are just battles waiting to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, get ready to ditch that win-lose mentality because today's deep dive is all about finding those yeses that leave everyone feeling good. We're diving into the brilliant strategies from getting to
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
the Negotiation Bible by Harvard's very own William Murray and Roger Fisher.
And what's truly groundbreaking about their approach is this shift from battling over positions to uncovering those deeper interests at play.
Okay, unpack that for us.
Yeah.
What do we even mean by interests in this context?
So it's about moving beyond the what of a negotiation and digging into the why. Instead of arguing about wanting the window open or closed,
No.
we ask, why is that important to you?
So like that classic example from the book, The Library Window Dispute?
Yes.
I remember one person wanted the window open, the other wanted it shut.
Mhm.
Felt like a stalemate.
Exactly. And it'd be easy to just compromise with a half-open window, but that wouldn't truly satisfy either person. Getting to yes encourages us to dig deeper. Why does the first person want the window open? Maybe they need fresh air.
Okay.
And the second person, they probably want to prevent their papers from flying around.
So by understanding their motivations, you open up a whole new world of solutions.
Yes.
Instead of being limited to that one window, maybe the librarian could open a window in another room, providing fresh air without disturbing anyone's papers.
Precisely. And that's a win-win. See how focusing on the why, those underlying interests, can unlock creative solutions that wouldn't have been possible if we were stuck on the surface level?
It's like that light bulb moment where you realize negotiation doesn't have to be this adversarial tug of war.
Right.
It reminds me of another example from the book, the one with the kids and the orange.
Yeah.
You know, most of us would probably just cut that orange in half and call it a day, right?
A classic case of assuming a fixed pie, when in reality, there's often potential for everyone to get more of what they want.
Exactly. But in this case, what if one kid wants the orange for juice, while the other only wants the peel for baking? Suddenly, by understanding their needs, you go from a 50-50 compromise to a 100% win for both.
A perfect illustration of how uncovering interests can lead to mutual gain. It's about asking that crucial question. Why do you want what you want?
You know, thinking back on past negotiations, I realize I've been so focused on my own what that I never stopped to consider the other person's why.
Right.
This is already a game changer.
And this focus on interest becomes even more crucial when we're dealing with situations where it feels like our opinions are completely at odds.
Okay.
Like when haggling over a price, for example. That's where the principle of fair standards comes in.
Okay, so instead of it being my word against theirs, we're talking about finding some kind of objective truth to ground the negotiation.
Exactly. Instead of battling over opinions like, this is worth more, or no, it's not, you shift the focus to objective criteria. Market prices, industry benchmarks, expert opinions,
Right.
even pre-agreed upon terms.
So let's say I'm renting an apartment and the price seems steep. Instead of just saying, your rent is outrageous, I could say,
I understand you want to set a competitive rent. What are the average rental rates for similar properties in this neighborhood? I want to make sure we're both working with a fair market value.
So instead of making it a personal attack, I'm grounding my argument in data.
Yes.
I'm basically saying, let's look at the facts and figures together.
Exactly. You're shifting from a subjective battle of wills to a collaborative search for what's fair and justifiable.
Right.
And the beauty of this is that it can be applied to all sorts of situations, not just financial ones.
Right, like that example in the book about the homeowner and the contractor who disagreed on the foundation depth for a new build.
Yeah.
Instead of arguing, they turned to the local building codes for a clear, objective standard.
And by basing the negotiation on established standards, you avoid the emotional tug of war and ensure that the outcome is seen as fair and reasonable by both parties.
So we've gone from my way or the highway to uncovering those deeper interests, and now we've got this superpower of using objective criteria to navigate those seemingly impossible disagreements. It's like we're not just negotiating, we're problem-solving together.
And that's a really important shift in mindset because it sets the stage for tackling some of the trickier aspects of negotiation, which, as you can imagine, we'll dive into right after this quick break.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork with interests and objective criteria, but let's be real, not everyone plays by the rules, right? What about those times when someone's using shady tactics to try and get their way?
Ah, yes, the dark arts of negotiation. Getting to yes actually dedicates a whole section to these dirty tricks, as they call them. Things like deliberate deception, psychological pressure tactics, you name it.
Okay, so let's say I'm in a negotiation, and the other person starts pulling the classic good cop, bad cop routine. What's the move there? How do I stand my ground without losing my cool?
Well, sometimes the simplest approach can be surprisingly effective. Just naming the tactic out loud. You might say something like, it seems like you two might need a moment to get on the same page. I'm happy to wait until you've had a chance to align your approach.
So, by simply calling it out, I'm basically disarming the tactic. It's like shining a spotlight on the manipulation.
Precisely. You're taking away its power. The other party is then forced to either abandon the tactic or risk looking foolish.
Love it. Okay, but what about those situations where the power dynamic feels totally off? Like, I'm imagining going for my dream job interview. They've got tons of qualified candidates. I'm just one fish in a very large sea.
You've hit on a crucial point. This is where understanding your BTNA becomes absolutely essential.
My what now?
Your BTNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's basically your plan B. What's your best option if this particular negotiation falls through? And the stronger your BTNA, the more power you have, even when it feels like you're on uneven ground.
So in the job interview scenario, my BATNA might be having another promising job offer on the table.
Exactly. Knowing you have that alternative waiting in the wings gives you a certain confidence. It's about knowing your worth and being willing to walk away from a deal that doesn't serve you.
That makes so much sense. It's like that saying, the person with the least interest in the outcome has the most power.
Precisely. And that sense of empowerment can make all the difference. Now, of course, not all negotiations are as high stakes as a job interview. But what about those everyday situations where things get a little heated? Maybe someone starts taking things personally. How do we navigate those choppy waters?
Yeah, that's the stuff that gets me feeling flustered. It's easy to get sucked into that negativity and lose sight of the bigger picture. What's the strategy there?
That's where negotiation jujitsu comes in handy. Think of it as the art of deflecting those personal attacks and redirecting the focus back to the issue at hand.
Negotiation jujitsu. Okay, that sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
It's all about staying calm and centered. Instead of getting defensive or firing back, you can try a few things. First, ask clarifying questions to truly understand their perspective. Second, if they shoot down your ideas, don't get defensive, ask for their suggestions. This can shift the energy from combative to collaborative.
So I'm essentially using their momentum to move things forward, like verbal Aikido.
Exactly. And finally, if they continue to be difficult, you can always acknowledge their feelings while reiterating your commitment to finding a solution that works for both of you.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. It's like getting to yes is all about rising above the fray and finding that common ground, even when the other person isn't quite there yet.
You're getting it. And it's this shift in perspective that can be so transformative because it allows you to see negotiation not as a battle to be won, but as a collaborative process.
Right. It's not about manipulating or outsmarting the other person. It's about understanding, collaborating, and ultimately finding solutions that work for everyone involved. Which actually reminds me of that story from Getting to Yes about the father and son playing frisbee in the park.
Ah, yes, a classic illustration of this very principle.
Right. A bystander walks by and asks, "Who's winning?" And the father's response perfectly captures the essence of this collaborative approach to negotiation. He says, "We're both winning because we're playing together." It's not about one person coming out on top. It's about the shared experience, the joy of connection.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of getting to yes. It's about recognizing that in most negotiations, we're not dealing with enemies to be defeated, but with potential partners in finding creative solutions.
This is all making me realize how much my old negotiation mindset was holding me back. It was always this stressful adversarial thing. But now it feels like a weight has been lifted. It's not about manipulation or outsmarting the other person. It's about understanding, collaborating, and ultimately problem solving together.
And that's a truly liberating shift, isn't it? It allows you to approach negotiation with a sense of curiosity and even excitement, knowing that you have the tools to navigate even the most challenging situations. Which, by the way, brings us to another important aspect of negotiation. Dealing with those moments when emotions run high and things get really personal. We'll explore some powerful techniques for navigating those tricky conversations right after this quick break.
You know, it's funny. Before we went to the break, you were talking about how getting to yes can really transform the way we deal with conflict. And I have to say, it's got me thinking differently about all those everyday situations where maybe I used to get a little bit, you know,
Defensive.
yeah, a little defensive. Like even just deciding where to eat or what to watch on TV. It's like I was so stuck in that win-lose mindset.
It's easy to fall into that trap, isn't it?
It really is. But now I'm realizing those everyday interactions don't have to be battles. They can be opportunities to practice these principles, to find those creative solutions that work for everyone.
Exactly. And the more you practice these skills in low-stakes situations, the more naturally they'll come to you when the stakes are higher. It's like beating those negotiation muscles.
Negotiation muscles.
Yeah.
I love that. So instead of dreading those tough conversations, I can actually approach them with a sense of curiosity and confidence, knowing I have the tools to navigate them effectively.
And that confidence can be contagious. You might even find that the other person starts to mirror your collaborative approach, even if they've never heard of getting to yes.
That's so encouraging because it really feels like we've been given this powerful framework for building stronger relationships and creating more win-win outcomes in all areas of our lives.
Absolutely. And remember, getting to yes isn't just a one-time read. It's a resource you can return to again and again, whenever you're facing a challenging negotiation or simply want to improve your communication skills.
So much wisdom packed into this book. It's definitely going on my reread list. What about you? What's your biggest takeaway from our deep dive into getting to yes?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's the reminder that at the heart of every successful negotiation is a deep understanding of human needs and motivations. When we take the time to truly listen to each other, to understand those underlying interests, amazing things can happen.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I think that's a message that resonates far beyond the world of negotiation. It's about approaching all our interactions with empathy, curiosity, and a genuine desire to connect.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Well, listeners, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the fascinating world of negotiation, guided by the wisdom of getting to yes. We hope this episode has left you feeling empowered and inspired to find those yeses that lead to better outcomes and stronger relationships.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
And with you as always. Until next time, we hope you'll continue to deepen your understanding of the world around you and to approach every interaction as an opportunity for growth, connection, and of course, a resounding yes.